So, James, we sort of had started a really great conversation when you were sort of sitting on the panel, just about where we are at a state in time, right? So, how much of what you, and it's interesting because when we say premium video, it's kind of like the word engagement, right? Everybody might mean something slightly different when they say it, but we're just going to go with your definition of premium video. How much are you buying direct versus programmatically?
I'd say that when it comes to video, we're probably buying about 90% direct when it comes to premium video. We've got a couple of clients that are very different from that model in the sense that they buy all of their video programmatically for their specific needs, and one of those is DR. So it's more the price point at which you enter the market. It has a much bigger factor on your overall KPI. And I think that one of the reasons we're seeing that is because when you get into the programmatic space, like you have a couple of keywords that immediately will light up in your head, and the first is automated, right? And then RTB goes in there straight away. And then the last one is probably data or audience, however you want to call it, right? Now, with the RTB piece of it, in display, that's fine when it comes to programmatic, and we're doing a bunch, right? The reason that's fine is because there's a ton of supply, and you make a lot of savings by not dealing through all the various ad networks and all the middlemen in between. But with video, it's different because that supply isn't necessarily there. Strong publishers aren't necessarily dumping all of their good content into a programmatic sphere at the moment or making it accessible in those exchanges. And even if they are, as a buyer, I don't necessarily want to be exposed to market forces or RTB, which is basically a market force. It's supply and demand metric. I want to make sure that I'm serving my clients in a sense that they're almost immune to inflation immune pricing. So I think in programmatic we've seen some pretty big swings.
So am I right then to infer that the new fronts, for example, like these business cycles that we talked about with Gibbs previously, the upfronts, like are those equally as valuable for premium video as they are for television for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, in a sense. I mean, what we're seeing is that we definitely want access to that inventory, but we're also starting to see people walk away from it because of the high price points. So at some point online, advertisers start asking themselves with their inflation, and especially in like network FUP type video, and when you've got fluidity already baked in there, do they really need to be competing in that marketplace, or have they got alternatives? Now our job is to find them alternatives where they can still get that additional reach and without losing the quality. What we generally find is, with the networks, I almost think it's a misinterpretation of how extensive that additional reach can be. What we see is a lot of time we drive a lot of frequency, and if that's an objective, then you're fine. Right. And then you go back to this cost per point argument. Do you really want to be paying that premium on a cost per 1 point extended reach? So that's kind of the struggle we deal with.
Well, but I mean, my whole sort of reason I'm going down there and stepping away from programmatic for a moment is because it really does bring us full circle, right? Because if what you guys are saying is you're using your purchasing power, excuse me, to go out and sort of blanket buy, and then serve, whether you're leveraging your technology platforms or not to do that, to target from an addressable perspective. I mean, that, how are you not doing that across the board for every media? How is that not just sort of, and what does that change for your business? Because then, if you guys are buying, you're sort of, in some ways talking about making a market, right? I mean, you're putting skin in the game, you're buying media up front. Like, how does that change your role with your clients?
I think it gives you, it still gives you a job to do, which is a good thing. But it gives you a responsibility to be able to go and represent them in the marketplace and do specific deals that are relevant to all of their brands. You have to start getting clients away from a campaign approach to a portfolio approach. But we have to do it in a way, especially at Mindshare, where everything we try and do, everything we try and action in the marketplace comes from some kind of real-time insight. We still need the flexibility to go in there and be able to optimize, to be able to take advantage of new opportunities that come up. To your point in the previous conversation, if we do commit something up front, it's because it's a tried and tested commodity that we buy year in, year out, and we know that we're going to get X return on that investment, and it's an integral part of the plan. we also might go and make a commitment up front without being so specific to give ourselves a level of flexibility to take advantage of things that are changing in the market. And when I say things are changing in the market, I mean things are changing in the audience's head. It could be a competitive product coming on that you didn't anticipate, or it could just be a trend. You know, it could be a Twitter trend, or taking advantage of something that's going on in real time, or something that's just happened in a sports event that we can capitalize on because maybe we've got some talent associated. But we need to have access at that time and space to be able to do that and make that connection with the audience. And I think that increasingly you're going to start seeing that as a strength. But we need to do that in some kind of stable marketplace. You know, if we're representing our clients properly, we can't be necessarily putting them into a place where we're just vulnerable to, you know, supply and demand premiums and pricing. And a good example will be the World Cup that's coming up. So you'll start seeing a lot of activity across the exchanges in that time. Now, I don't necessarily want my clients to be in a situation where, you know, maybe America win a game, no one's betting on it, but let's say they do, right? Got a tough group. Right? You might see a lot of people start to, you know, try and take advantage of that. Now, I want to be in that market too, but I don't want to pay their prices if they're going through those exchanges, and you'll see it peak. And we've seen price swings of 3x in those kind of instances.
I mean, your role as a media buyer changes in some regards. Like, you're going short, you're going long on some, right? I mean, you're almost brokering more than you are actually buying in some regards.
Yeah. I think so. I think that's fair.
So I'm going to turn this over to the panel now, because Rich, I would love to hear, I mean, especially given, again, that you're driving this product roadmap for a platform that, you know, is sort of ubiquitous within the ecosystem. How does it differ from a set of needs of your users for, you know, guys like James that are, you know, looking in advance and really sort of looking at inventory holistically across a planning cycle, versus those that are kind of reactive, pure real-time in nature? What is the utilization of a programmatic platform? How does it differ in those different use cases?
Yeah, I mean, the way we look at it is kind of two different worlds. The sort of the reservation world, which I think is critically important to TV, right? Which is about, you need to reach a GRP target, you need to reach some kind of reach target for your audience. And then there's kind of what we see in the digital world, which is, I want to buy as much as I can at as low a cost as possible, and it's more the sort of RTB or DCPM world. And I think to James's point earlier, you know, companies like Mindshare are looking to optimize the balance of investments between some of those more flexible inventory types where there are sort of peaks and troughs in the supply and the cost of that supply, as well as some of that valuable fixed upfront investment into kind of more premium media. And I think for us, this is about ad serving instructions across the two of them. So it's about optimizing both your frequency and your reach across those different investment vehicles, but then also the rotation of your messaging and your advertising into that. So we very much believe in getting the optimal balance between those two types of vehicles, and certainly that's why we're very invested in this kind of world of reservation, which we think will be the way to sort of truly unlock some of the TV investment, because TV delivery will never be happy with, oh, well, unfortunately my prices today have gone up 3x.
Got it.
And that just doesn't work in a TV world.
Right.
And to make that even a bit more complicated, or not more complicated, but certainly more accountable, now we have to make sure that, or we want to make sure that everyone's actually seen the ad, which sounds like so basic, right? Well, of course, you want people to see the ad, that's why you buy them in the first place. But even a year ago, the technology probably wasn't stable enough for us to reliably use it. Now we're getting viewability technology come into play where, you know, we can be optimizing against that as well. We need the power to be able to go back, optimize against it, and then buy against those metrics as well.